To pick up where I left off, we'll start with Mark 3:14. This is part 4. And we're going to be talking about his 12 disciples, but we don't need the word 12 yet because they're below. He appointed his disciples that they might be with him and that he might to send them. It's just when you read in the text and it double speaks like this, and this is why you go back and forth in the text. Look at this. He appointed his disciples to send them to teach, and with his authority, they were to cast out people's demons. That's why I needed people's demons, not just cast out demons, but people's demons. His 12 disciples are, now this is why I used the word 12 here and not up there. His 12 disciples are, and we have one, Simon. Now it says he gave his name, who gave name Peter. We're getting rid of all this extra stuff that might have been added in later, and we're going to take a good look at example. To them he gave the names whatever, okay, which means sons of thunder. Well, that year is just stupidity. I mean, a creator created everything. He would not say sons of thunders and with a capital S or a capital T. There's no god of thunder, and they aren't sons of thunder. Okay? So what we have here is we have the word Simon, we have James, and John, his brother. Okay? We learned that from this text above, that it was his brother. Now we come to Andrew, Bartholomew, Philip, Matthew, Thomas, James. Now it says a son from Alphaeus. Now I'm going to leave this as a name and get rid of these, okay? The fact is we have James here and we have James up here. And we should know that there's only one James, okay? So the thing here is over here we have a name that I'm going to continue and leave this out. And I'm going to prove in a text that later in one of the books that he is a disciple. Now, Simon of Zealot doesn't matter. Judas doesn't need a last name, so there's only 2 people in the whole Bible that have a last name, and that's Judas here and Pontius Pilate. Well, we don't need the word Pilate. We just need the word Pontius, and we need Judas. He went home, and a crowd gathered to him. He went to a home. Okay, now, I don't know what the text is below here. Let me take a look. No, says he went home to a crowd. I'm going to have to just put a blank here for right now. And I have to add that because this is reading as one sentence out of a group of words here. In a multitude, let's keep them as like a crowd and go that way. Multitude, that to me means thousands, okay? And I don't think that's who was following him. I think there would be a crowd from time to time following him, but they would have had to get back home. They got things to do at home as well. Again, such an extent that they could not even eat a meal. That is just stupid. He went to his when his own people heard. This would have been his people in the village. they went out to the lake to take custody. Well, that word needs to be arrest him. And they're saying he's lost his senses. You can't arrest somebody or take custody of somebody when he's lost his senses. Okay, not for teaching what he's been doing in miracles. So this is just a stupid verse stuck in the middle of nothing, trying to tie the. A lot of times they try to tie the text together to make, like saying this story continues from here to here, and they did this. Right now they got the names, and let's count them: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So we only have 10 disciples here, and it's saying 12. Okay. And we come back up here and we find 1, 2, 3. This is what I would say they have too many disciples. That's why I got James here that I should have took out here, because we have James here, because otherwise we'd have two. We'd have 2, but we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we'd have 9, 10, 11, and one of these two we'd need as the 12th. Otherwise we'd have 13. So since we have one James, we're going to get rid of another James. Okay? So, and we're going to have him as a disciple, and later I'm going to prove that he is a disciple. Our scribes from Jerusalem were saying he was possessed by Satan. Okay. Here we have Satan as his name, and yet they've given him another name. We'll just keep to the name Satan because we all know him by Satan. For he casts out people's demons as their ruler. He casts out demons. I needed the word people's demons as their ruler and the ruler of demons, but that's already being said. This, you can see, taken out. I'm just changing the word speaking to spake. I like the old English word more than I do like the word speaking. He spake to them. Not how, but why would Satan, notice how they're using the word Satan here? I didn't add that. Let me see if I can show that. Let's, let me take a look real quick here and see if I can. No, it looks like I'm adding the word. This is verse 23. Yeah, let me show you here something. Here you can see the word Beelzebul here, okay? But right here, Jesus calls him Satan, okay? So they don't need to, Jesus knew they should all know him as Satan. So let's make sure we keep every name completely clean. Who is who? And since he's a bad guy, he's not getting a capital letter. Why would Satan cast out his his demons. Okay, I guess I should show you here again. You see how the verse is, how can Satan cast out Satan? But it's not how, but why would he cast Satan out from his demons to make this thing reasonably said? So I didn't like the way they used Satan cast out Satan, because he wasn't casting out Satan, he was casting out demons. Okay, so it had to be, why would Satan cast out his demons? Now, I needed to add these words here together, because that just makes sense more when you read it. These small little edits here, you can figure out why did he, they, himself to his, could not stand together. Not that he is finished, don't need that. That they could not stand together meant that this kingdom here, could not stand together. So if a house is divided against a house, how can that stand together? So if Satan raises up against his and it's divided, they cannot stand together. I could put as a kingdom here. Not plunder, but to steal, keeping it to 12-year-old understanding, property to goods. First bind, well, constrains, or let's see, I use the word constrains. Yeah, I know that's a stretch for 12-year-olds, but it was easier instead of learning what bind means. I could have used the word ties up, the stronger male, not the strong male, but the stronger. Because if the guy could overtake him, he couldn't do what's being done here. He can, not plunder, but steal from his home. I've explained why house to home many times, so, and will to can be forgiven. Now here it's talking about whatever blasphemies they utter, but whoever curses his holy breath will never be forgiven. I'm removing this. I'm trying to think of why, because all sins can be forgiven, but whatever blasphemies they utter, it doesn't say what happens, but whatever blasphemy. Uh, let me. I'd like to bring up. Let's see. Open that. Opens a program and opens up some text. Nope. That extension doesn't work. So what I've got to do here is I've got to fish around for the answer here. Yeah, okay. I'm down to mark 20. The third be something. 322 at least. Okay, this is how they have it read, or writ. Okay. Truly I say to you, all sins will be forgiven the sons of men. Sons of men. Sons from man. They come from male and female. And whatever blasphemies they utter. No, there is a description for the word blasphemy, and it's pretty much one of these verses right here. This verse helps define what it is. And whoever blasphemes against the Holy Spirit never has forgiveness, but is guilty of an eternal sin. Jesus knows that a sin is defined by our Creator defining what a sin is, and that is a sin offering is needed for the 12 commandments, not 10, but there's 12 of them. And there's these 12 commandments, you needed to bring a sin offering. There was nothing for blasphemy against the Holy Spirit. And what is spirit? I've got a video below going through every word of the word spirit, where Jesus defines what is Holy Spirit. And it is his breath or his words that are coming out of people's mouths, and they prophesy. Not like Elizabeth and Zacharias. Both of them were filled with the Holy Spirit, and then they prophesied. How could they prophesy if they weren't filled with his holy words? Okay? So his words are what's being described here. Whoever blasphemes, this has to, whoever is against the Holy Spirit is blaspheming and will never be forgiven, is the way the verse should be written. See, this word should be taken out here and placed in here. Whoever is against his, not well, it would be his holy breath, is blasphemy, and never has forgiveness. See, that's the more truthful of it, words of it. But what I want to do is I want to show you here that I use the word curses here because we have words, a story from them in the Sinai with an Egyptian father, with an Israeli wife. Their son is arguing with, or his son is arguing with other Israeli children, and he's cursing our Creator. And they took this to Moses. There's no rule on this. What's the ruling? Our Creator told him to stone him to death. So it didn't say that he won't be forgiven. It just said stone him to death, okay? Now, that's what I have put in here, because blasphemies are against his holy words, okay? But there's other verses that I'll get to will define better yet. Because they were saying he has an unclean spirit. No, that whoever curses his holy breath will never be forgiven because they were saying he has an unclean spirit. Well, what does that have to do with Jesus' teaching here? I mean, sometimes when they add a verse, I know it screws you up when you're reading, you're trying to figure out what's going on. But here, because they were saying he has an unclean spirit, his parents and arrived, okay. Now this is almost like while he was teaching, people were saying, well, he has an unclean spirit about Jesus. Okay. We know that's not true, and I don't know why it would be added in here, the truthful writer of the story. So I've removed that. Now we have to talk about his parents, not just his mother. Mary came to see him, and it says his brothers. Jesus never had any other brothers. The text says it from some brothers one place, then he says brothers and sisters another place. But here we're going to see that his parents are here, and we'll see. And he shouted, "Who is like my family?" Mother and brothers is actually family. Who is like my family? And it's about maybe I'm not explaining that the way I want you really to understand why I'm removing brothers and sisters from Jesus. They would have been known about in time. I mean, they would have followed their lives afterwards. So I guess that would be the biggest reason why I would say that he had no brothers and sisters. Um, and I think that's the truthful answer. So I'm removing his brothers here. I mean, can you imagine text or anything that if Jesus had brothers and sisters, you don't think we'd have a family lineage of them? I do believe we'd have stories about them, even a family lineage to keep carrying on, even to today. So getting rid of his brothers, his parents arrived because Mary just wouldn't leave her husband. And you got to remember, at this time, Rome was in control, and everybody wasn't as friendly on the road because they weren't all Israelis. You had foreigners walking around. You had foreigners living in land. You had corrupt people. So it wasn't a nice neighborhood anywhere they were going. So let's see. His parents arrived and sent word that they were there. They didn't need, instead standing out there, they said, that doesn't need to be there. It can be quickly said, his parents arrived and sent word they were there. Okay. I can't remember why. I know this. I added this. Oh, yes. How did Jesus go to Jerusalem every year if Mary was pregnant? Or was Mary was with yeah, I mean, we don't have stories of Mary and Joseph with other children in Jerusalem. We only have the story with Jesus in Jerusalem. That's all. That was also a note that I wrote probably months ago. I'm trying to remember. Multitude of crowd around them heard. Yeah, the crowd around him heard what they were saying. And someone shouted to him, not said to him, because there's a crowd, so he shouted, your parents are here, not outside looking for you. They know he's here, so they just saying, hey, your family's here, relaying relaying that information. And he shouted, who is like my family? Okay. So not who is my mother and brothers. Um, why would he leave his father out? You're thinking that he's dead. There's no text saying he was dead, but the word Joseph does pop up at the crucifixion time. But they give him from like another rich guy from um, that area from Jerusalem. But the object is the text is going to be compiled, and you're going to be surprised at the truth or more truthful possibilities than what they wrote and been re-editing year after year. And he looked around, then he shouted, you are my family. You are my family, not mother and brothers, because men would have been standing there. So again, he would have used the word family. So by obeying YV, you are my family by obeying YV. Shouted, you are my mother and brothers. You are my family by obeying. Yes, he's continuing the sentence. This is not an ending here. I keep reading it as an ending. And it has to be this, tied to this ending here. By obeying our YV, our creator. Yeah, see how is this my brothers and sisters and mother? No fathers, nothing about males. So this is just, I'm just saying it's just not, it's not true. He would have included males. Not teach, taught on the sea. Well, it was actually a lake shore, so let's not have them on the Mediterranean side over there. Crowd gathered, so he got into the boat, sat down, and the whole crowd sat on the shore. Okay, you can see, well, these words aren't really saying them easier and correctly. They read easier. He taught with parables, not many things in parables, but with parables. So, this text doesn't need to be, this text doesn't need to be. He just, here's the parable, and this is going to be what he said. I had to add the word seed here, and I had to add it here, and I had to add it here, just to make sure that this story was talking about seeds, because otherwise he's just sowing what? Okay? So as he sows some seed, it kind of tells us what they are. So a sower went out to sow seeds. As he sowed, some seeds fell beside the road or on the road. They would have fell on the road. They would have been easier for the birds to eat. Okay. So they ate his seed. Now, I know along the path of the road, yes, it might be muddy, it might be traveled down, but the object is if it's on the road, the seeds fell there and the birds come along and eat it. Other seeds fell on rocky land. Can't be the word ground. This is very important for you to know that the Hebrews considered the land the very surface of the land because there's land underneath the river, okay? And when they use the word ground, it's beneath the land. So you have to make sure Jesus is staying true to Hebrew. So it's land, not ground. Okay. And this doesn't have to be said at all. The story is going to continue here. That the following days, the sun, the fall, and after the sun, it says after it has risen, it scorched them. It takes more than just one day to scorch seeds. So in the following days, the sun scorched them. Not because they didn't have any root, they wilted away. Actually, they should make note that word is not, that needs to be questioned for the simple fact that didn't get withered away. They just died. Inside of the seed will dry up, but you don't know that until you open up the seed. Other seeds, you can see I added it here, were choked. Other seeds fell among thorns and were choked off from the land. Not saying that they yielded no crop, they were choked off from the land from growing. Good land, not soil, but good land. It increased, and so that, yeah, I don't need, we don't need this. This is just extra words that people will try to say how much good they're doing and other people doing more good but this is not needed in the text. Produced 30, 60, and 100-fold. So seeds don't do that anyways. wheat seed has many seeds on it. So, but I've never seen seeds having 1,000 seeds on there. Okay. They grew up and yield him a crop. And that's how much of the crop did it yield. It doesn't matter. What's more important is that they yield him a crop. Meaning, because when you look at the seeds, he's going to tell us the story, who the seeds are and what they are really his words. So here it says, you don't need this words. Who can hear me, added the word me, kind of he who has ears can, he who has ears to hear, let him hear me. Well, we need to get rid of him for them because women listen to Jesus too. So I've changed those things around, and yet it reads better than all this added extra words that they've got. That's what I'm doing, is trying to clean up the words and make them better and simpler. So what we have here is not his followers, but his disciples, even though they're saying along with the 12 began to ask him. Well, the disciples asked him, we don't need to have followers, because when you think about Jesus going around, traveling all over the place, the disciples were carrying their food or what they could buy, and what was it? Judas had the money, or track of the money, so people would donate to them. But for the followers, you have to consider those would be not of his group. Where here, they're trying to say the followers and the 12 were to ask him about the parable. Now, the followers don't have the knowledge, or don't truly believe, as the disciples believe, that you would leave your job or your family or your way of life to be his disciple when he says, follow me. Yet these did. So the thing here is if it was followers, it doesn't make any sense that they would be included in his answer here when it comes down to him talking about what disciple. Now this should be like that. About that parable. So he told them, uh, you have witnessed, okay? And this is would be, how could you say that the followers were the witnesses of everything that Jesus has been doing? They didn't travel that way as a group, as them, that type of followers. And it's not, you have been given, you have witnessed, okay? You have witnessed him doing these things. Remember, he sent them out to heal them just before and cast out demons. So they were witnessing what he could do. Not that they were given, other people were witnessing too. So you were witnessed his prophecies, not mystery. Witness it was a mystery. No, there's no mystery. It's about our Creator's prophecy. They foretold. Let me show you something that's really interesting. A lot of people don't know or realize that. Where does this mystery start? Not mystery. When does here? This starts. Oops. I needed that. Okay, sorry. I needed to make this smaller so you can see it on the screen. There you go. Genesis 17:6. This is our Creator talking to Abraham. And I will make you exceedingly fruitful and make nations of you, and kings shall come from you. Then we go to 18:18. And in him, he's talking about what's in Abraham, all nations of the earth will be blessed. And that is by Jesus going to be the king for everybody in the world to come to heaven after he becomes his Christ and enters into heaven. So, these texts, and you can see down here, and in your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed because you have obeyed my voice. By obeying our Creator is very important, but here is the first text that I can show you, or first verses, that tells us that Jesus is the king, he's coming, and he's going to, the whole earth will be blessed, okay? So a lot of people don't know when our Creator starts promising his promises over time. So that's why when people say there's an Old Testament and a New Testament, that's just a lie. The Old Testament talks about Jesus as coming to be their king. Now, the parable that we just read above, I read to you above, about putting a new wine in old skins. This is kind of like where they would probably try to say, well, that's two testimonies, one of the old and one of the new, and that's why you're supposed to put these new words into new wine skins. Now, actually, Jesus is new, and he is fulfilling the words of all the promises. So he's just extending our Creator's promises, but he is bringing forth more teachings. And it's his teachings that tells us who is going to be in his kingdom. You don't see a lot of that text saying who's in his kingdom. There's things in the Hebrew side that talk about all nations shall be blessed, just like I showed you. So the thing here is Jesus is spelling or saying these things out and doing these healings. His name is known around the world, even today, even probably since he walked on earth. It had to spread all over the place. I mean, there's things I could get into could prove that people come all the way from China over to witness or talk to people in Israel or the area of the Promised Land. But the thing here is I will get into that in someday. But right now, I just want to let you know that it's his prophecies, not a mystery. The prophecies of my kingdom, not mysteries of my kingdom, but his prophecies. Our Creator, if you read those verses and didn't think of Jesus as the king and all, and it's going to be blessed, I have yet to find anybody that preaches that, what I just told you about. This text is the earliest text from Jesus, and it's through Abraham's seed. If he is a Trinity, then our Creator is a liar. If our Creator is not a liar, then these verses are true. Through his seed, Abraham's seed. Okay. I needed to add the word, but others are, you have witnessed his prophecies of my kingdom. Others are to hear in parables. Okay. His prophecy, not the order, not in order. This would have been the word in. In order, is that, while seeing him. Yeah, okay, now this is why you replace the word order with prophecy, because it is going to be a prophecy of something that I don't think I can find it in the old text, but I'm going to go through those verses show you what I can point out as the truth, because that's going to be exciting. Because if you've seen any of the videos that I posted, I'm revealing like many of the prophets that I've got posted, and the words of the Psalms that I got posted. There is the original poetry-like format that pops up, and you can see the original text written by the first writers. Very, very cool to see their words, and how easy it is for people to find them too. Do the first 9 uh, Psalms. Just go through there, find short sentences, and all of a sudden you'll find a group of words that have this mean something, like a small little paragraph, but they're like in verses, like 3 verse groups, or 4 verse groups, or even two verses into a group, and then you'll find that rhythm throughout that whole um, psalm, and then you'll see all these other words aren't needed, and yet it's very nice to see those. Um, so yes, these I made as his coming from our Creator, because this when you read it, while seeing him, they saw him, but did not recognize him. Hearing him, they heard, but they did not understand him. Least they return to be forgiven. Well, we don't need this. No, they can't be forgiven just by saying, okay, Jesus, I believe in Jesus. Can't get there. You have to obey our Creator, okay? Okay, here, these words aren't needed because the story here is Jesus is still talking. So he says it here. This is the prophecy. And then down here, he's going to explain who the sower is. And the sower, oops, I'm going too far. This will be the end here, and I will get into the prophecy of the sower, or a parable of the sower, in the next video.